Maybe we can talk a little bit, we're already at 40 minutes. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the tokenomics aspect, right? Evmos is coming in 2 weeks. First of all, talk a little bit through the dynamics and the thought process behind the rect drop and the gas drop, and how Evmos is going to be distributed in the first place.
Yeah. So that's an exciting thing to talk about. I always get excited to talk about it. So one thing I want to highlight is, the reason why, the token model is possible is because of the grant money, and we talked about this earlier. But the reason why a lot of teams have to raise from VCs is because they don't have this option. And because we had this option, we didn't have to go to VCs and be like, hey, we need capital to form a team and run this project and set it up. And instead, what we did was hey, we just get grant money. We can kind of fund the initiatives we need to in order to execute on shipping this chain, and we can actually give way more to the community, which is pretty cool. So that's what makes the token model possible. So to highlight some things in the token model, there's a lot, so I'll try to keep it brief, but basically we are airdropping 80 million tokens at Genesis to the community, and then 20 million of that is going to the community pool. Then there is a portion of that, about 100 million going to a strategic reserve that will be used to basically build the foundation for Evmos. So the Atmos Foundation will be this entity that is used to fund grants like the one we got from the Cosmos Hub, except it will be run by a foundation. The whole point of the foundation is to basically fund initiatives, sort of better the Evmos network, give delegations like the Osmosis one does to validators that are going above and beyond, as well as fund projects that people want to work on in greater capacity. So because we're application, we have a execution environment on our chain. We want people to be able to deploy their applications and be able to access all our features, but also they're going to need funding in some capacity to do so. So that's what the Atmos Foundation is there for. There's high inflation year 1 and year 2 and year 3, and it kind of wanes off at year 4. So you're able to basically stake year 1. I'd say we're probably targeting around 100% APY at least year 1. So there's going to be some really nice staking yield for people to earn on Evmos. That's the hope. That's the goal. So one thing that's interesting about this is that it actually makes Evmos a deflationary currency at the beginning. Because we have the half-life model, which is kind of a meme. We basically every year we use a half-life decay formula to chop the token inflation by a decay amount. So it's it's pretty significant cut over year 1 versus year 2. You can see in the blog post. But we want people to kind of propose new models, if they think it's, if we think it makes sense, because in a way, I feel a lot of tokens that are running execution environments, they tend to be inflationary models, and we're kind of starting off deflationary with the hopes to be inflationary if necessary in order to basically facilitate the growth of the network, as well as give people enough tokens to spend on transaction fees and stuff. On top of that, another thing that's very unique about Atmos's incentives is a portion of the block reward goes to a pool dedicated to usage incentives. And usage incentives, in a way, I mentioned it briefly earlier in this interview, but there's 2 types of usage incentives. There is basically a fee rebate, which is hey, we want to give people rebates on their fees for applications that we want to drive traffic to, because they're cheap to use and maybe they have good yield opportunities, and we want to ensure that users are not getting bogged down on using them. It's kind of a quality of service mechanism built into the network, where you kind of prioritize some traffic over others because you're lowering fees for a certain portion of the network. So we want to see how this plays out. The second piece of usage incentives is basically this concept of decentralized Avalanche Rush. So Avalanche Rush was like this this incentives program that was run by, I think, the Avalanche Foundation, and basically they just gave out like a pool of farming rewards to a set of applications they like handpicked. So like Curve on Avalanche, they had like they had like additional farming incentives for some of the LP pools on Curve, and they were basically issuing people Avalanche tokens for those for being a part of those farms, which is pretty cool because early users get a portion of the L1, and they don't necessarily have to be like validators to do so. So they have like a chance to get more shares in the network early on. And we saw it was pretty successful. So we wanted to kind of replicate the same thing, except we wanted the community to run it. We wanted the community to decide, hey, like what apps should be the ones that we like throw these farms at, because farming is fun. Yeah. And that's like that was like the philosophy behind usage incentives. So that's actually coming a little bit later after launch because it's a little trickier to implement, and we want to see the network kind of stabilize before we kind of launch this. So we want to make sure that there's ample time for kind of the network to like become secure. People make like their delegations, and the network kind of settles, and then we kind of have part of this like issuance as part of like farming and stuff. But the fee rebates will be there. They will be available at the day one of mainnet.